Good evening and welcome. I'm Chris Parnell.
Reporting from Moscow.
Tbilisi.
Times Square.
May your dreams be your only boundaries in life.
Welcome to Inspiring Leaders. I'm Donna Chandler Newman, your host for the show, and thank you for watching our program. Through this show, we meet community leaders and we examine how they're using their unique talents and skill sets to make a difference. And through our discussions, we hope to inspire others to discover and to share their own leadership abilities for the overall betterment of our community. Now, the Memphis area is blessed with a number of local and community theaters which produce excellent plays and musicals for the enjoyment of our community. But the biggest, the largest, the most recognized, the most iconic of all is the Orpheum Theatre. And of course, we're all keenly aware of and we enjoy the exceptional plays and the enchanting musicals that the Orpheum produces. But today, we're going to focus on how the Orpheum gives back to the community through the rich series of educational programs they offer. To share that information, we'll be welcoming the man whose name is synonymous with the Orpheum, Pat Halloran, President and CEO. Pat will be with us for the first segment of our show, and in our second segment, Pat and I will be joined by Leanne McQuown, Vice President of Development for the organization. Joining us now is Pat Halloran, President, CEO of the Orpheum Theatre. Welcome, Pat.
Thank you for the invitation.
I'm so glad that you're here today. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, Pat, tell us a little bit about your background and how and when you became associated with the Orpheum.
Well, I was born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska. Went to school at the University of Nebraska at Omaha, and when I graduated, I immediately moved to Miami to get away from that snow and wind and rain, and did my master's degree work there. And while I was there, I was also assistant dean of men and counseling freshman students, and I'll tell you later why that was important. But I moved to Memphis in 1969 to take over the leadership of my college fraternity, which was headquartered in Memphis, Pi Kappa Alpha. And so I did that for 11 years. And while I was doing that, I got involved in politics. I ran for the city council, and I won that race. And after the end of that term, I ran for mayor, and I did not win that race. But that brings us to the point where I wound up going to the Orpheum Theatre. Having lost the mayor's race and having resigned my position with Pi Kappa Alpha, I was ready to change my life and try to find something that would be a challenge for me. And since I wasn't going to be mayor, I wanted it to be something important to the community. And this opportunity prevailed, and after a few discussions, I was asked if I would take over be the first president of the Orpheum Theatre and president of the foundation, which is the umbrella organization. And so I did it, thinking that I would only be there for a couple years. The goal was to raise enough money to renovate the theater because it had really fallen in a great state of disrepair. And so that was the challenge, to bring this iconic old movie palace to become now something different, a performing arts facility, but as beautiful as it was in 1928 when it was originally opened. So that was the challenge. That's what brought me to the Orpheum. My goal and the reason they hired me was, since I had just run for mayor, everybody in town knew who I was. And I'd been on the city council, and so their inclination was that they had found somebody that would be able to help raise the money to do this project. And so that was my mission, that was my goal, and my plan was to raise the money, renovate the theater, and ride off into the sunset. But the more I got into it, the more I loved it, and it became an ongoing challenge, because then it wasn't just the renovation of the theater, it was developing a program that would sustain it. Because the Orpheum had only done a couple of Broadway shows before we closed it. And so the whole idea of, well, we built it, now what are we going to do to make people come? And so that became the next challenge, and that was exciting to me. It was because I felt like I was creating something with a big band of supporters and staff members and board members and supporters. So I wasn't doing it myself. I had a lot of support. People wanted the Orpheum to succeed.
Well, any project that size takes a lot
Well,
of
it does, and it has for 35 years.
Well, and that's how long you've been there, 35 years,
Yeah,
right?
I started in November. In fact, this week is my actual 35th anniversary.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. So
Yeah.
the Orpheum is basically your baby.
Well, it's certainly been my mission, my obsession. I haven't had time to do anything but that, and I have enjoyed every minute of it. I mean, there is not a day that I didn't want to go to work. And you know, and people ask me now, well, why are you resigning? Well, I have a new mission at this point in my life that is as exciting as the Orpheum was 35 years ago. And so I guess that's what we're going to talk about today as well.
Yes, we are. You know, the Orpheum, as you've brought it, because you did a renovation in '97. Is that right?
Well, the first one was to restore the theater, and that was a major facelift and modernization of the existing facility to replicate what it was in 1928. In 1996, we realized that to bring the shows like Phantom and Miss Saigon and all of those new big shows that now travel the country, they would not fit on our little vaudeville stage, because we were a movie palace with vaudeville, and the stage was not very deep, and we needed to double that for Phantom. Phantom said, we're not coming to Memphis if you don't have a bigger stage.
Well, they couldn't, actually. They couldn't stage it here. So you basically overhauled it, doubled the size?
We knocked off the back wall, which I was not an engineer or an architect, and I said, we really can knock out the back wall? What happens to all the other parts? And they said, it won't fall down.
Well, thankfully you trusted them, and it is where it is today.
It did work out.
So you haven't done another renovation there since, but you have built a palace next door.
We have.
Completely dedicated to, it's the Halloran Center for Performing
Arts and Education.
And education is a big piece. You know, most of Memphis knows the Orpheum for doing its big productions and the shows. And I mean, your voice woke me this morning with Pippin coming to town, and I was thrilled to death and glad to hear it. But there's so much more that the Orpheum does, particularly in the area of education. It's how you give back. Tell us about some of the educational opportunities.
Well, about 15 years ago, I started an education program during the summer, which I had seen modeled in other cities. And the idea was to bring the kids in during the summertime and let them experience the whole theatrical opportunity in career planning and just becoming fans of the arts.
Yes.
And so we started it, and the staff was excited because we really got to talk to these kids about all of the jobs that circle the whole entertainment industry. Everybody's not going to turn out to be Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
There are going to be a lot of Pat Hallorans that can't sing, dance, or anything, but they can be involved in the theater and make a commitment.
And they're necessary to make the
I mean,
productions what they are.
the theater survives on both elements: the entertainment staff and the actors and actresses and performers, and then the people that make the production work. And so that was our goal. And after a couple of years, I realized that this was way over my head. And so we hired a person to come in and take the program, and she and her staff have taken it to an extremely more sophisticated level. And so now, like last year, we had 66,000 kids come through our 19 programs.
Wow.
And that was in the theater. And we were limited in terms of how many programs we could put on in the theater, because while the theater was really, its main mission was to bring in the big Broadway shows and the concerts and the ballet and the opera and movies and all of that. So that time had to be carved out of the calendar, and the time that was left was during the downtime in the theater for our education program. And we realized that that was too confining, and we needed to work out something to figure out how to embellish the program's reach and develop more programs, appeal to more kids. And so that's when the whole idea of the new building was brought into fruition. And originally, we started looking at downtown buildings that were for sale, thinking we'd buy one and renovate it. But there wasn't anything that was big enough, that was impressive enough. There were spaces where you could go and work and perform and have classes and things, but there was no really huge center that was just awesome and did everything we needed it to do.
And there's got to be advantages to having it next door anyway, right?
Well, that turned out to be the best thing that happened to us. I mean, we had a parking lot next door to us. And when we looked and we finally decided there was nothing downtown that we could renovate, we kept looking at this lot right next to the theater. And so I went over to the president of the Memphis Light, Gas and Water. They own the lot. And I said, Mr. Collins, I said, I want your parking lot. And he said, why? What are you going to do with it? And he said, no, we like our parking lot. But he changed his mind and he said, I'm with you. I think that having a building that does what you're talking about doing is so much more important than a parking lot. And so he arranged for us to buy the lot. And then the architects and the building committee took over and designed a fabulous facility.
It's beautiful. It really is.
It is. It's got 40,000 square feet. It's two-story. It's very contemporary, which we think appeals to the kids that are coming in there because they see it as being not only contemporary but futuristic in a lot of ways. And it's very open. It gives you the impression that everybody's welcome.
And named for you. So quite a legacy. Now tell me how it fits with your retirement.
Well, on January 1, I will actually be a consultant to the new president for a few months. And then I'm going to devote the rest of my time to helping the new center develop programs, and I'm sure they're going to ask me to raise money. But that's the challenge, and so that's what I'll be doing over there. I won't have a title. In fact, I don't know if right now we're not sure I'll have an office. But the building is so beautiful. I'm so excited. And I want to, our staff that works in education now is perfectly capable of developing the arts program. What I want to do is work with high school and college kids.
Well, you know, there's great benefit to the community with what you're doing as well and what the Halloran Center is doing. Tell me why you think it's important to the community.
Well, first of all, it brings our next generation to an iconic facility to learn and grow. And as they go back and talk to their colleague, friends, and associates in school and their parents, more and more people become excited about what we're doing. So that's important. The economic impact of the building is substantial. So that will help the entire community economically. But I think the big advantage is the development of these young people for becoming greater parents, greater supporters of the arts, and better citizens.
That is wonderful. It's wonderful for the city in general. So thank you for that for the community. Okay. Hang on a minute. Stay here. Leanne's going to join us in a minute.
I'm looking forward to it.
Good. We're going to pause now for a short break. When we return, Pat and I will be joined by Leanne McQuown, Vice President of Development for the Orpheum Theatre. Now? Okay. Good.
You!
Yeah. I mean, I think I was like, listen, I'm usually...
Oh!
Your fault. You!
My fault?
Your fault. Your fault.
You're right.
What?
It's my fault.
What do you mean your fault?
Just the two of us.
You're right, it's my fault.
We can make it if
Maybe both of us?
Maybe just you.
GHS-TV has a new website. You can now view any of our shows on our new media pages. Or check out the latest Wake Up Germantown or Red Devil postgame. As always, we're streaming live 24/7. Just visit ghstv.org today.
Welcome back. I'm Donna Chandler Newman, and you are watching Inspiring Leaders. Today we're talking about the Orpheum Theatre, and now we are pleased to continue our conversation with Pat Halloran, President and CEO of the Orpheum, and to be joined by Leanne McQuown, Vice President of Development for the Orpheum Theatre. Thanks for staying, Pat, and welcome, Leanne.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad that you're both here today. Thank you very much. Okay, so Leanne, tell us about your background a little bit, and how did you become associated with the Orpheum Theatre?
Certainly. Well, I am a graduate of CBU here, and while on campus we had various opportunities to meet and receive leaders on campus, and I was part of that program, and I was able to derive my passion for Memphis and for what makes our community, and I got to see what makes it tick. And in doing that, the month after I graduated, I received a job with the Convention and Visitors Bureau and the Convention Center. And so I was the national sales manager and was able to travel around the country selling our city. So there's no other passion to have than the opportunity to do that and to know what others think about your community. And in doing that, I realized I wanted to be part of the community. I didn't want to be outside of the city. I wanted to be part of the community. And I had an opportunity with the Redbirds Ballpark and the Plaza Club there, and that is actually where I met Pat. The Orpheum had a lot of events there, and I always had a love for the Orpheum. I'm from this area and grew up going to the Orpheum, so there was an immediate connection there, and had a lot of respect for what the Orpheum was doing and what Pat was doing in the community. And opportunity came about where there was a position, and I was able to move over and be part of that team, and it's been a great, fun time.
That's amazing. You know, I didn't mention this before, but part of Pat being so iconic in the community, and forgive me if I embarrass you, you also are the recipient of a number of awards. Don't you have 3 Tonys?
Yes,
and which is amazing. You have lots of national awards. The governor just recently gave you an award. I know that the Germantown Arts Alliance did locally here, and you just got the Crystal Award, a street named after you. That must be fun working with a guy with a street named after him that's right there, huh?
It is.
Wow.
We always say there's a great story anytime Pat's around.
I don't want to embarrass you, but I mean, honestly, with that resigning thing must be bittersweet for all of you, for you too, I'm sure.
It is.
Yeah, it really is. So the Halloran Center is a big piece of your life right now, is it not? I know that you guys had to raise a great deal of money to put the Halloran Center together. Are we done raising for that, or is there a little building gap still?
Well, we're getting very close. It's a $14.5 million project, but we are narrowing in to close that gap. And so currently we have about $200,000 left to raise.
Oh, well, that's a way that the community can get engaged and to help cap that out completely, correct?
Certainly.
That's right.
That's really good. That's wonderful. You know, as the Director of Development, I'm certain many people realize that ticket sales don't take care of the whole thing. There's a lot more involved than just buying my ticket, especially for the educational opportunities. How else do you raise money for the Orpheum?
We rely on the support of the community. Without the community support, we wouldn't be able to keep the doors open. Individual, corporation, and foundation support, whether it's program support through the Broadway series, which we all know and love, or the summer classic movie series that we all love, and then the education programs that Pat was talking about earlier. All of those programs take sponsorships in order to make it work.
I'm sure that they do. And in particular, don't you have a new education program that's recently come into being, the Kennedy Center?
Well, we've been partners with the Kennedy Center for a number of years. We do 2 things with them. One of them is we are one of the few theaters in the country that partners with them on a training program for our teachers in our school systems, public, private, and county, and all of that. And what the Kennedy Center does, they they partner with the theater, and what they do is they provide instructors to come to your community, your theater, and help develop teachers with new concepts, new ideas, and new projects that are going to embellish their work and make them more effective. And so we've had that relationship, and just to be selected by them was an honor. But secondly, they also have an education department that produces productions, and those productions go on tour. And when they send one out, we always get first crack at them because they're really high quality, and that's what we want to put on our stage for the young people in our community that come on the big orange buses and in the school buses for their field trips. And we'll do 30,000 kids a year with not just the Kennedy Center shows, but other shows that we bring them in to see. They're all somewhat, they're all very educationally oriented, but it puts a fun spin on an educational concept or an idea, and the kids are in awe of the production, and it might be musically inclined, or it might just be scientific. We had a scientific production in the theater last week. So that's one of the ways the Kennedy Center has been involved with us.
And another way that the Orpheum gives back to the community. That's truly, truly amazing. So basically you talked about 66,000 kids coming through your educational programs, and that's another 30,000 that are seeing the shows. And impact.
No, to be honest, those 30 are in the 66.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Well, but still, that's a huge, huge impact on the community.
It
truly, and you're teaching more than students. You also are training adults.
Teachers, that's
yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So that Halloran Center is really, really multi-purpose, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And we have a 350 seat theater, state of the art, the best equipment you can buy. We have a $500,000 sound system in there, and the most advanced camera equipment and projection equipment. And so Indie Memphis this year brought some of their shows to the Halloran Center, and next year they're going to come back and do more. And we're going to work on a program also where we can do documentaries on our own to bring to the community that, people don't know where to find a real good documentary.
Yeah. And
we're going to be promoting those and making everybody aware of the fact that we're going to be doing these regularly.
And so many things that, that the Orpheum does that are way beyond everything. I mean, I would never say that any nonprofit is an easy sale, because you compete with so many other nonprofits for the dollars. But certainly there's a story to tell, correct?
Yes.
And that does make it a little better to raise money for the. One of the other ways you raise also is through your auction. Didn't you just recently have that?
We did.
That's a big production, isn't it?
It is. Just a couple of weeks ago, November 7th, it's our largest single fundraiser of the year. And it's a unique opportunity because, number one, people come throughout the community and donate between our silent and our live auction. We have over 500 items, over $350,000 worth of merchandise. And so they come together. We couldn't do it without their support. And then it's also an opportunity for those who are attending the auction. You get a front of the house view. You can see the areas when you normally see a show, the lobby, the parlor, but you also get to go on stage and backstage, and you get to see an area that you don't normally see. And
My
so
goodness,
it's very beneficial.
Well, so there are lots of ways to get involved beyond the Friends of the Theater. You call them the ushering staff that you have, which you are greatly appreciative of, I'm sure. But you can also contribute to the auction or to other fundraisers.
Our brick campaign for the
Do
center.
tell me about the brick campaign.
Our new Halloran Center, we have a Pave the Way campaign, and it is the entry plaza leading into the center. And so we have bricks available. We have two sizes, a 4x8 and an 8x8 brick, and it's a great way to commemorate a loved one, celebrate an occasion, or represent your business.
So if I
Or
want
put your family name on there,
Yes.
or all your kids' names.
Yeah.
They'll be there forever, and when they grow up and they walk over the sidewalk, they'll see their name and they'll know Mom and Dad did that, or the company did that, and it's a good good concept and a good way for them to support us.
So if I wanted to do that, how would I do that? Go to your website?
Yes, you can go directly to the website, and there's a button right there on the homepage that can take you directly to that. And all the proceeds go for the operations support that we need right now at the Halloran Center.
I was going to say you raised your 14.1 to put it together, but there's still operating expenses that will go on year after year after year. For you got to turn the lights on for starters, right?
That's
Absolutely.
right.
So, I mean, do you have plans for how you're going to support the Halloran Center going forward?
Certainly. We have different giving levels now that are within the Orpheum, and those support levels will go also to support the Halloran Center. And again, the program support directly with all the education programs that will be going through the center, and just helping creating awareness as well for all those programs.
So lots of chances
Increases
to
funding.
for sponsorships for individuals or for corporations.
Yes,
both,
certainly.
Right. So that, I mean, you guys do so much more than what seems to be visible to the average person. Isn't there also a STARS program, STARS 101? Or?
Yeah.
We do. That is our high school volunteer program.
How does that work?
And people are able to sign up and get approved, and I think it's about 40 strong right now.
Is it?
And they have volunteer opportunities, and the volunteer opportunities are within the Orpheum Theatre as well as the Halloran Center. And they might be for when we had our community day, for example, when we opened the Halloran Center. That was all volunteer run through that group.
Oh, that's
or it may be in conjunction with something going on at the Orpheum with a Broadway show, or volunteering directly with some of the education programs.
Well, that's amazing. Okay, so with the limited time that we have, what's number one on your wish list?
Well, I'd have to say that number one on my wish list, and what's been exciting for me to move over to the new building, is for the community to support the Halloran Center as much as they did the Orpheum, and continue to support the Orpheum, but get that same level of endorsement and acceptance and support that we had. And that's where, you know, we're going to be spending a lot of time. Our mission is to make the Halloran Center as well known as the Orpheum.
I am so very, very excited about the Halloran Center, as is the entire community, and I want to thank you both for the work that you do, and particularly, Pat, I want to wish you well on your retirement, and thank you so much for not disappearing from the arts community in Memphis. We're really looking forward to seeing lots more of you in a different capacity.
All right,
thank you both for being with us today.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us today for Inspiring Leaders. We appreciate our guests on today's show, Pat Halloran and Leanne McQuown of the Orpheum Theatre. Thank you once more for watching our show. If you're interested in the air dates of Inspiring Leaders or for our station's complete programming guide, you can visit GHS-TV.org, where we're streaming live 24 hours a day. You can keep up with GHS-TV by visiting our website. We hope you'll like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Thank you for joining us, and be sure to watch our show, Inspiring Leaders, again next month.